is there something like relative anonymity? That means, for example, is pseudonymized data anonymous in the hands of a third party having no access to the key? So as we have seen, pseudonymization means that the key leads you back to the patient or the research participant behind the data set, which is as such de-identified, so not retraceable. So what about if the key is really locked and stored separately and the data set is transferred without any possibility to get access to the key? Can the data set then be considered anonymous instead of pseudonymous? So to be very clear, the data is still pseudonymous for those who have access to the key. The question is, can it be considered anonymous in the hands of a third party not having access to the key? And it might be surprising that the answer is a clear yes. There is something like relative anonymity. Next slide, please. So to give you some evidence for this, to prove this is not only my personal opinion, but more or less the prevailing opinion among data protection authorities and even courts, I refer to a chapter in an opinion by the European Data Protection Authorities, stating very clearly that something like relative anonymity is there. I will not read due to time constraints, not read the whole text here. And even the European Court of Justice, next slide, please. Thank you. In the very famous case, Patrick Bayer versus Bundesrepublik Deutschland, that's a recent case. It's a case based on the Data Protection Directive, but regarding anonymization and pseudonymization, the world has not changed completely. So everybody is quite convinced that the same principles are now applicable on the basis of the GDPR. And there is also a clear statement. That was a case about IP addresses. So is an IP address personal data or not? The result, yes, it is, but not because there's no relative anonymity. So there's a clear statement in favor of considering anonymity or personal data as a relative term. So if somebody has really no access to the key, then you can assume that the data can be considered anonymous in the hand of that third party. But the hurdles for having no access are quite high. As soon as you have even a possibility to sue somebody before court and then get access to the key, then it has to be considered personal data. So what that means for research is still not completely clear. I think I promise not too much to say that we will address that in our initiative for a code of conduct, and that's one of the main things we have to try to clarify a little bit more, how this can be used in the research context.